Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Denise Gary Show. I have the honor of having with me an author and an individual that worked many long hours and years for the Department of Homeland Security. He wound up being a whistleblower because Barack Hussein Obama, the former president of the United States, decided that he did not want Philip HANEY, our very special guest today, to be out there working in intelligence and finding out the linkages between Islamic terrorist groups here in the United States and overseas. And I'm just thrilled that we have him on the show today. Philip HANEY, welcome to the broadcast.
Hey, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am holding up his book. It says, See Something, Say Nothing. It's an excellent read. I encourage everybody to read it, get better informed about what's happening in the United States government. You say, but that was during the Obama administration. It doesn't matter. There are still people that are from the Obama administration that are holdovers. Right, Philip?
Oh, yeah, you're seeing them in action today and yesterday and all this week.
That's right.
This hysteria with impeachment is a perfect example.
That's right. You know, the first thing that came to my mind, Philip, was I thought about former Obama employees, and I thought about the individual that leaked a private conversation between the President of the United States of America and the President of the Ukraine, and that somebody would have the guts to leak that to somebody else who then said, I'm a whistleblower, and decided to leak that to the media to suggest that there was some sort of misdemeanor or high crime committed on the part of the President of the United States. Your thoughts, Philip?
Well, my first thought is who actually designated that second party person as a whistleblower?
Right. Who picked him?
Was it the agency or was it Congress? That's a gray area in the whistleblower protection. And all I can say in contrast is that I sure do wish they had spent 1% of the time protecting me and being so concerned about what I had to say as an actual whistleblower, as they have this particular person who now we find out is at best secondhand. That doesn't, in my book, even qualify as a whistleblower. But we'll see in the next few days if there really are one. I just find the whole process astonishing.
I do.
They're so willing to, discard due process and jump to conclusions in contrast to everything that I went through.
Well, you know, you were talking about a Democrat, and the difference is they're targeting a Republican. So, you know, no one was sympathetic to you because you were basically calling out a former President Barack Hussein Obama, and saying, look, this is going on and it needs to stop. He shouldn't be destroying. Ladies and gentlemen, you really ought to read this book. See Something, Say Nothing, because it goes to why we do not want to elect a Democrat to represent us, whether it's on the state or federal level, because they have a history of destroying anything that doesn't suit them. I mean, we think of it, Philip, again, somebody who was taking down these notes from the conversation had to leak it to somebody else who then became the whistleblower. I mean, this is just what I consider to be corruption, and I don't understand why we don't have more people and more Republicans in the United States House and Senate talking about the level of corruption that is existing in the White House, that you'd have people try to set up the president, and I'm thinking, over what? Because I've read the unclassified or declassified now. It was classified as secret. It's now unclassified. I've read the memorandum of that telephone conversation. I've got the transcript in my hand. It's just a quick 5 pages, or actually 4 pages, quick 4 pages. I have it on legal size paper. Did you have a chance to look at that just briefly at all?
Yeah, I did look at it. I read it over several times because I kept thinking, gee, what am I missing? Maybe maybe I'm missing something that all the geniuses in Washington are seeing that I'm not.
Thank you for that. My thoughts exactly. Go ahead. Forgive me for interrupting, but I first they start off congratulating each other. Very nice, very lovely conversation. And I think, did you get the impression, Philip, when you were reading that transcript, and this would be on my page 3 of the transcript, that when the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, brought out the issue of CrowdStrike, I felt that he wasn't going after Joe Biden. I think he was talking about that whole Mueller investigation, and that there was this group called CrowdStrike in the Ukraine that had been asked to spy on a Republican president. Did you pick up on that as you were reading it, sir?
Sure, I picked up on it, and I find it ironic. I wonder what crowd this thing is going to end up striking before it's over with.
Yeah.
I'll tell you where the real disconnect is.
Okay.
Even the second level whistleblower, that's a start. Then the IG, who first said it was worth considering, but now we're hearing contradictory, that maybe it didn't actually rise. Okay, so he took it to Congress, the Intelligence Committee. This is where Adam Schiff comes in. And this is where the real disconnect. This is where we ought to be focusing. When I talked about due process and protection of sources like whistleblowers, Adam Schiff should have never had a press briefing and discussed this in public. There's your real breach, your real disconnect. We can discuss, and we will find out the status of the whistleblower. We will find out ultimately between DNI and the Inspector General of the Intelligence Agency, But ultimately it comes back to Adam Schiff, who blabbed about it in an open press conference. And he, in process, has shattered the Intelligence Committee's integrity, just like Jerry Nadler has shattered the Judiciary Committee's integrity, and now Nancy Pelosi is trying to handle the stampede, and all the cows are running through the western town, running over the buildings, and turning the wagons over, and she's out there trying to say, "Whoa, horsey, whoa!"
Well,
she's in a lot. She's really facing the biggest challenge she's ever faced in her life. Do you really think, as incoherent as it has been so far under the authority of Jerry Nadler and or Adam Schiff, that by bringing 4 more committees into the process, that she's going to make this thing work any better? She just let loose another bigger stampede.
Well,
just hang on to your hats.
Yes, absolutely. And actually, I think it's more than 4 committees that she's involving in this. But I want to raise another point real quick, and then we need to move on. I thought it was interesting that in this transcript of this conversation, that the president of Ukraine pointed out that after he became president, he appointed his own inspector general, prosecutor. He called him a prosecutor general, and that this prosecutor general is his person, and that he really wanted him to investigate the corruption that President Trump was referring to. And I noticed that nobody, not even on Fox News, of course, what I shouldn't probably say that I've been busy working all day and just came into the studio not too long ago to do this show, but I haven't heard, based on my limited hearing of the news today or yesterday, that anybody's pointed out that even the president of Ukraine was absolutely on the same page with the president of the United States and really wanted to understand the corruption that was going on and why he felt it was important that he was president, because he didn't appreciate, as the president of Ukraine, the fact that there was a former president and a former government in power that was in bed with the Russians and that was involved in moving Ukraine back into the orbit of a communist country, literally, and really wants to stay free and as far as he can get away from becoming again a satellite country of Russia, or formerly the USSR. Your thoughts, Philip?
They talked about it in the phone call. We
Yep.
read that. They also talked about it today at the UN. They had a press conference today.
Did they? Okay.
And then, and they also talked about it on Fox on the 5. They addressed that, but they also brought up another point that's bubbled up to the surface in the last day or two, and that is that Democratic senators wrote a letter to the Ukrainian government asking them to help in the investigation of President Trump.
Yes, I did hear that. Yeah.
Candidate Trump.
Yes, right.
And so, see, this thing called discovery is a two-edged sword. Are you guys really sure you want to pick that sword up? Because it cuts both ways.
Yes.
If you're not careful, you'll cut your own leg or arm off with it. Discovery is a very powerful tool.
That's right.
If they really want to do this, then they're going to.
We just lost them. Oh, we're going to go to a commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry we just lost Philip Haney, but we'll have him back on in a minute. Let's go to our Frugati's commercial.
I want to tell you about a place I love to go, Frugati's Italian Restaurant. Very few locations here provide seating outside in front of a fabulous water fountain with an atmosphere that is reminiscent to me of eating outdoors in Venice. This is real Italian food by real Italians. And what makes it even more so is owner Ralph Frugaletti, who nearly a quarter century ago brought a wood fire oven from Milan, Italy to make, like his mother, fresh homemade bread and pizzas. Moreover, Frugati's restaurant offers you not only the very best in Southern Italian cooking, even importing the finest ingredients for authentic Italian food, including a fitness menu. After all, Ralph has represented the United States and Italy, competing in the Master Championship Games. He knows all the right food for good fitness, so check out the menu. After today's broadcast, run over to Frugati's Italian Restaurant and Catering at 600 Coffee Road here in Bakersfield. And after a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday service, stop into Frugati's for a great lunch. I'll see you there, and tell Mr. Ralph Frugaletti that Denice sent you. Salute. Bon appetito.
Ladies and gentlemen, our very special guest, Philip Haney, a former member and an intelligence agent that worked for the Department of Homeland Security from day one. We're just so thrilled to have him with us today. Philip Haney, welcome back to the broadcast. You were talking before we, unfortunately, the call was dropped. This is part of, I guess, modern technology. That you were talking about the discovery, the issue of discovery, and we were just wrapping up that conversation on the fact that the former president and Democrats were spying on this president, and the fact that, my goodness, what are they talking about? Our president having a conversation with the president of Ukraine on corruption. Pick it up there, Philip. Thank you.
Yes, I said that discovery is a two-edged sword. Pick careful when you pick it up, because if you're not, you cut your own arm off with it.
Right.
And the Democrats should be careful what they wish for. It's a two-way street.
Yes.
Discovery works both ways, and as we're finding out with the possible Joe Biden and Hunter Biden connections, just as an illustration. And there are probably plenty more that will be brought to light. So all in all, I think this is actually a good thing.
Okay. All right. Do you think it ultimately helped bring a landslide to President Trump in 2020?
Well, I'd like to see it bring a landslide of involvement of the American people back in their own political process.
Very good. Very good, sir. Let's talk about some really important things that I think the president has said and stood for in New York in front of the entire world at the United Nations General Assembly. It's extremely important that we have a president, the first president in history, that has stood up in front of the community of nations. Again, ladies and gentlemen, let me underscore that point. He's the first president that has stood up in front of the world for religious freedom. And I want to ask Philip Haney to comment on the fact that this president, in Monday's speech on religious freedom, said if you want freedom, you need to take pride in your country. If you want democracy, you need to hold on to your sovereignty. And Philip, I thought of two things right away when I heard that, and then later read the transcript, which I have here in my hand. I thought of Paul Revere, and I wanted to use that historical example because everybody should remember. I mean, even if they got a public school education as I did, they ought to remember Paul Revere. And I think about Paul Revere, and I think about a man who was alone. I think about a man who got on his horse and all alone in the dead of night, knowing that there would be British sympathizers all around, maybe there along the roads that he traveled, maybe in the homes in which he was yelling out with a lantern in his hand, a light in his hand to say, people, the British are coming, get ready, be prepared, take pride in your country. Care about this experiment of democracy that we're wanting to establish here in this new world that we call America. And I think about the tremendous courage the tremendous courage that Paul Revere had to have had to ride that horse alone in the dead of night, calling out that the British are coming. Another historic example that came to my mind was Patrick Henry, who knew that by standing with the founding fathers and the founding mothers, I would like to add to that, of this country, said publicly, give me liberty or give me death. I don't want to live under an oppressive regime. And that's at least most of the world today, living under oppression and tyranny, whether it's in our own hemisphere or on the Asian continent, or in parts of Europe still today, and of course in Africa and countries in Africa. And I was impressed by the fact that the President of the United States said to the world that we as a people, that we as a country are defending religious freedom of all people in the United States and around the world. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that, Philip.
This started about 2 years ago. He appointed Sam Brownback as the ambassador at large for religious freedom out of the State Department. And he's made similar announcements in public arenas before. But this is the largest stage that he's ever used to make the announcement. I want to go back a step and mention that the thing that's so unique about America is that we live in a country that allows us to participate in the defense of our own liberties. And that should get everyone hope. I'll say it again. Allows us to participate in the defense of our own liberties. And what he's saying is to the world is, we're going to stand as an example to the world, and then we're going to find ways to help you defend your liberties wherever it might be in the world, starting with those who are people of faith, that you should be able to practice your faith without being persecuted. Just like you should be able to express an opinion here at home without being persecuted politically. So it's all kind of interrelated. He's standing up for sovereignty. Remember,
right.
Sovereignty. Well, he has a firm grasp of that. We haven't heard that word very much in the last 20 or 30 years.
No, we haven't.
Defending his sovereignty.
Yes.
And he's also defending liberty, both politically and or in the faith arena as well. They're actually connected together, pieces of the same puzzle.
I want to bring in something else. The president talked about how his administration launched the Religious Freedom Ministerial, bringing together foreign officials, organizations, and advocates to fight religious persecution. I wanted to get your thought on the fact that this administration has created this program that is working with leaders around the globe. And when I think about Christians in communist countries and socialist countries, and particularly in Muslim countries today, that are still being burned alive, that are still being nailed to crosses and crucified, that are still being beheaded, that are still being beaten to death. When I think about Christians, not just men and women, but the children as well, that are paying a heavy price for their faith, are you aware, or what can you speak to about the effort that this president and this new agency within the federal government is doing to help raise awareness on this issue? And of course, the president raised awareness at the United Nations General Assembly this week. But can you address that at all, Philip? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I did want to ask you while I had you on the phone.
I'm actually a founding member of a coalition called Save the Persecuted Christians Coalition. Started in Washington, D.C., January, February of 2018. And we were side by side with the appointment of Sam Brownback by President Trump, and sat in meetings with both Ambassador Brownback and or members of the White House and or State Department. So I'm actually quite familiar with this whole subject. And people can go online and look it up, Save the Persecuted Christians.
And can they
can see...
Save the Persecuted Christians? That's the name of Save the Persecution... persecutedchristians.org. Okay.
You go on and look at it and see that there actually is a grassroots level effort. And you can find out about it. There's ways to get involved.
Good. Can anybody join?
President Trump said it at the...
I apologize. I'm sorry. Can anyone join?
Yes.
Great. Okay, and you start.
Find out. Get plugged in.
Okay.
And there's other ministries like the Intercessors for America. They're based out of Purcellville, Virginia. There's even a group called Aglow International.
Aglow International
for Washington. There are several large-scale ministries that are involved, but this coalition, Save the Persecuted Christians, brings in people from a whole broad spectrum across the board. So there are things that are happening, and the person has a heart for this. And I should mention, I wouldn't suggest getting involved with it unless you really do have a strong heart.
Right.
Because when you actually find out what's really going on, it's going to tear you up.
Well, I know what's going on, and I share it with my audience fairly regularly. I share with my audience what's going on with persecuted Christians, and have had numerous individuals on the show that I've interviewed over the years, particularly when I was on Christian radio. So this is close to my heart. I imagine it's close to the heart of others. And I so appreciate you mentioning that. Ladies and gentlemen, Save the Persecuted Christians. One last thing. Thank you for all that you do, Philip HANEY, in bringing this to our attention, just sharing that out, because I certainly didn't know about it, and I'd like to get more involved myself personally, and I'm sure there are other people that feel very deeply about it and are intercessors and pray probably on a regular basis for people and families and children that are being persecuted around the globe. Before we wrap things up today, Philip, I wanted to call your attention to the president's second speech at the United Nations General Assembly. I thought he made a very important statement, and we'll wrap things up on this note. You know, the president told the world on Tuesday that the future does not belong to globalists, that the future belongs to patriots. The future belongs to sovereign. There's that word again that you mentioned earlier in our conversation, Philip. The future belongs to sovereign and independent nations who protect their citizens, respect their neighbors, and honor the differences that make each country special and unique. That, would you say, Philip, that is the essence of President Trump's America First policy? It's not a doctrine rooted in racism. It's not a doctrine rooted in discrimination. It's a doctrine that's rooted in what he identified as American goals, which he said is America's goal is harmony. America's goal is to not go with these endless wars. America's goal, he said in his speeches, was to cast off the enemies of liberty and overcome the oppressors of dignity, to set new standards of living and reach new heights of human achievement, that the path that we need to pursue, a path to peace and progress and freedom and justice. Philip, did he, in those sentences, those words in his speech, do you believe that perhaps best provides us with the parameters or the doctrine, the foundation of American First, the president's policy?
As a light to the world, there's some founding fathers that said something quite similar. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He just restated the Declaration of Independence at the UN.
That's right. The preamble to the Declaration of Independence. And ladies and gentlemen, where do we get that all men are created equal? That is codified and identified in the Holy Scriptures, both in the Torah, or what the Christians call the Old Testament, and the New Testament as well. All men are created equal, the foundational concept of our nation. And of course, Philip, you recall that Abraham Lincoln, the first Republican president, identified that in his speech to the American people in the Emancipation Proclamation. He identified that very important scriptural belief that our Judeo-Christian country holds, that all men are created equal, and called slavery evil. Really important concept in our historical establishment, and as you said, what President Trump said today. That's beautiful, Philip. Thank you so much for reminding me that in essence, the president's America First policy then basically is a reiteration of the values and beliefs that our founding fathers possessed and moved forward with in terms of building and creating a constitution. Final word, Philip.
I'll go with President Lincoln. He said that we should disenthrall ourselves, and then we shall save our country, the last best hope on earth. So the question would be, what are we enthralled by, and what do we need to be disenthralled from in order to save our country, the last best hope on earth?
Thank you, Philip. I appreciate so much you taking the time to come on the broadcast today. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go, let us talk about tomorrow's event. Philip, you're going to be speaking tomorrow night at Madera Municipal Golf Course on behalf of the Republican Party there in Central California. And do you want to say anything about your talk? I understand you've entitled it The National Security Meltdown.
That's right. That's my theme for 2019 is National Security Meltdown. And I'm going to talk about saturation into the U.S. government, in this particular case about the Muslim Brotherhood, because it's not something that happened a month or a year or 10 years ago. It's literally happened yesterday, current example. So I'm going to be talking about real time, and I'll just tell you right up front, you're probably going to be upset, but there's also a solution to the problem.
There's always a solution, and I look forward to hearing your solutions to this, and we all look forward to it. Ladies and gentlemen, call area code 232-0566. I asked to speak to Barbara and tell her you're coming. It starts, check-in time is 5:30. The dinner is at 6. It costs $15. We look forward to hearing you, Philip Haney, tomorrow night. Ladies and gentlemen, Philip Haney on the Denise Scary Show. Thank you, Philip. You have a great evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to go to a commercial break. Let's go to HANEY's products, and we'll be right back.
President Trump has correctly stated that economic security is national security. And in the Tehachapi Mountains of Kern County resides a United States defense contractor, HANEY's Products. Here is the Silicon Valley of the aerospace industry, right here in East Kern. HANEY's Products is a forward-leaning manufacturer and distributor of hardware sold to major defense and aerospace companies. We're talking about Boeing, Lockheed Martin, United Technologies, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon General Electric, and on the list goes, as well as to every United States ally worldwide, including Israel, America's most important strategic ally in the Middle East. And for everything that flies, HANEY's Products is providing the parts. And with me today is the president of HANEY's Products, Scott Baker. Hi, Scott.
How you doing?
Scott, tell us why you believe this corner of Kern County is the hub of the aerospace industry.
Well, this portion of Southern California here out in the Antelope Valley, it contains, some of the most cutting-edge technology going on in aviation today. We have some of the UCAS programs with unmanned technologies going on. We have Edwards Air Force Base out here who's doing continual testing in their area. We have the Naval Weapons Station up there at China Lake doing some fantastic cutting-edge stuff, cruise missile technology, and those things are going on. We have Scale Composites locally doing a lot of composite technology, which is new. We have SpaceX, which is a private one private entity putting things into space now. This area is the growth center for aviation's future, and this is the area I think that as a nation we need to be concentrating some of our effort and taking this technology. And as we all know, with the space program from Apollo years ago, out of these technologies, we, the private sector, are going to reap some of the benefits of that.
Thank you, Scott. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Baker, president of HANEY's Products. HANEY's Products, located in the beautiful mountains of Tehachapi, California, in eastern Kern County, is home to some of the most innovative and specialized technologies in the world, including those at the U.S. Naval Air Warfare Center, Weapons Division at China Lake, Edwards Air Force Base, as well as Stratolaunch, launching satellites capable of delivering multiple orbits in a single flight to space. And it is HANEY's Products that has provided the manufactured devices. And the president, Scott Baker of HANEY's Products, Marine Corps veteran, reactivated on 9/11 to monitor threats to the homeland, is carrying on a tradition of providing for the security of the United States by manufacturing every kind of fastener on anything that flies, as well as providing a full testing destructive laboratory. Contact HANEY's Products, now in business for 30 years, at 661-822-6873. Located at 1314 Goodrich Drive in Tehachapi for your manufacturing and testing needs today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Denise Scary Show. We sure need to hear from you. I hope you'll make a tax-deductible contribution and support this public broadcast. I'm not hired by anyone. This is an independent show. I get to say the things that are close to my heart, that I really believe are important to say, and I hope that you'll support us. We need to hear from you. Make a tax-deductible contribution to my 501c3, the Middle East Initiative. The Middle East Initiative. It's an educational foundation, and you can send that contribution to Post Office Box 82162, Bakersfield, California 93380, or get on my website, anewmiddleeast.com, and you can make a contribution there. That website is very secure, and I have PayPal right there, and you can make a contribution on PayPal. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow night in Madera, California, to hear Philip Haney and what's happening with respect to the Islamic infiltration in the highest levels of government today. Thank you.